Today, yes, I love science, but I'm going to talk about philosophy. And that's a very important part of our spirituality. And so I wanted to talk about this, it's all good. And, you know, I have around my house, I have several signs that say it's all good. And they're there for a reason, to remind me to think that way. Because most of us have trouble with that. I do. We look at things and is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? And we don't realize that it's our choice whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's totally a choice. So when we ask you, what are you grateful for? We're asking you to think about the good that's in things, and each thing has its good side. And we just don't always see that, and it's a difficult thing sometimes to put into practice in your daily life. It takes determination to see a thing as good. So let's suppose you died of COVID-19. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We're going to think about that for the rest of the time I'm talking. Would it be a good thing or a bad thing if you died of COVID-19? Another one to think about while you're contemplating that COVID-19, what if you found out you had cancer? Would that be a good thing or would that be a bad thing to have cancer? Kind of tough one to think about. We all say, wow, cancer is a bad thing. Well, cancer can be a good thing. It really can. And so I challenge you to watch a program that's on Netflix right now. And it's a 5-part series, and it's called Countdown. And what Countdown is about is 4 individuals, civilians, who on a SpaceX mission called Inspiration 4, they went into outer space for 3.5 days. 4 civilians went to outer space for 3.5 days, orbited the Earth for 3.5 days, half a week in space. And this was on September the 15th, 2021, when they went to space. And this Netflix show tells you all about it. It's in 5 parts. And when you watch those 5 episodes, watch Haley. Haley is she's the medical officer on that trip because she's an RN, she's a nurse, and she works at St. Jude's. And the St. Jude's is a children's cancer hospital. And Haley was a patient there when she was a child because she had cancer. And she survived her cancer. And you'll see some pictures of her with no hair when she's a little girl. And her hair is all gone because of the chemotherapy. You'll also see pictures of her as an adult now with a full head of hair, all she wants. And she goes to outer space because of her attitude of gratitude, you can say. She works at St. Jude's, inspiring those young children who have cancer. And what she can say to them now is, so I had cancer and now I'm an astronaut. She can say that to those kids. That's very inspiring for young kids who are facing cancer, to see it as a good thing. But you have to ask yourself about Haley specifically. Was her cancer a good thing or a bad thing? Well, let's suppose she didn't have cancer as a child. She wouldn't be an RN working at St. Jude's. She would just be a normal person out there somewhere. She would not be an astronaut. So she went to space, orbited the Earth for 3.5 days because she had cancer. So is cancer a good thing or a bad thing in Haley's life? You really have to look at that really hard. Without the cancer, no being of an astronaut. She's cured of it completely. Apparently for Haley, that was a good thing. So I think that would be great fun to be able to do that, to go be an astronaut. And you can watch the other astronauts also. They have similar stories, not quite as good as Haley's, but very similar stories of how they got there themselves. And it's about their viewpoint, their perspective in life. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? And I keep reminders around the house. I've got 3 or 4 of them. So if you watch that series, just pay attention to that, because it's Haley's own life and inspiration that put her out there. Okay, so you can think about your own life. How do you apply this to your life? I went through a divorce 30 years ago. Was it a good thing or a bad thing? I could say, well, divorce is a bad thing. Wow, I mean, that's a very painful thing to go through a divorce. But if I didn't go through the divorce, I never would have met Gail. And I never would, I love Gail and I enjoy knowing Gail. It's very important to me. And if I hadn't had the divorce, I couldn't know Gail. So was the divorce a good thing or a bad thing? It's how you look at it. It has nothing to do with the reality. There's no definite reality to any of these things. It's how you see it. And you get to choose how you see it. So most of life is just like that. You choose how you want to see a thing. Here's another example from my own life. 2 years ago, my vision began to get really bad. It was just getting worse and worse. And I go to the optometrist and he'd say, I just can't correct that. It's getting worse. And so he looked very carefully in my eye and he says, you've got cataracts. That's what's causing your problem. And it got to the point I couldn't even read the street signs out there, the green signs on the freeway says, turn here to go to Berkeley, that kind of thing. I couldn't read them. My vision was getting that bad. So I was going to have to quit driving. So he said, you ought to go down to Kaiser and see if they can do something about those cataracts that you've got. So I went to Kaiser and they said, oh, we have a new procedure. We just take your lens out of your eye and we put a new lens in there. And we do this all, it just kind of unrolls and unfolds in your eye. We crush the existing lens, we crush it, vacuum it out of there, and then we put in this scroll that unscrolls. And then they said, would you like to have perfect vision on the horizon or perfect vision when you're reading? You had to make a choice here. Well, for 60 years, since the time I was 11, I couldn't see the horizon. I had 2200 vision. I was legally blind without my glasses. In 2020 with the glasses. But in order to have my merchant marine license, I had to carry an extra pair of glasses in case I lost my glasses. So I always had to have an extra pair with me. That was a requirement. Yeah, my vision was 20/20 with the glasses on, but it was 2200 without them. I was legally blind. For 60 years, legally blind. And here they go and put a little thing. It took them 12 minutes to do each eye. And suddenly I can see the horizon as well as could when I was a little kid. I can see the horizon, see what's over there. I have perfect vision over on the horizon. All of a sudden, the medical facilities doing what Jesus used to do, giving sight to the blind. Now the ophthalmologist can give sight to the blind. 12 minutes, and you go from can't see anything to you can see everything. So were my cataracts a good thing or a bad thing? I couldn't see at night. Now I can see at night like a 20-year-old and drive the car at night, no problem, because everything's white again instead of being yellow. Is the cataract a good thing or a bad thing? It's how you look at it. So, got to look at my notes here to remember what I wrote. So there's many things going on in your life. Are they good things or are they bad things? I have cancer and cataracts can be good things. Whatever it is that's bothering you can be a good thing too. No matter how bad it might appear from one aspect, if you change your perspective, it could be a good thing. So you choose, you make a choice to see a thing as a good thing or a bad thing. And I know it's difficult to see things that way. Sometimes it's just really hard. And you have to think differently. The good's always there. You can always find it. You can always dig it out if you look for it. You have to ignore the bad sometimes to see the good. But think about things like this. If you wreck your car, it's an opportunity to get a new car. Hard to see it that way sometimes, but that's how it is. It's an opportunity to get a new car. So often, the good in something, divorce is an opportunity to have a new relationship. The good is often hidden in the opportunity that the thing, whatever it is, good or bad, that the thing causes in your life. And the opportunity that it creates is where the good is to be found. If you catch a cold or if you break your arm, it's an opportunity to take some time off. You have to look at things. You have to say, where's the good in this thing? And so, yeah, a broken arm wasn't so cool. You got to have it in a sling, but it's an opportunity. So look in the opportunity, whatever the bad thing is you think that's going on in your life, look closer at it. Look at the opportunity in it. Another one, and this is so real in people's lives. If you have a stock that you bought and it goes down in the stock market, did you lose money? Only if you sell it. It's a paper loss until the moment that you sell it. If you use dollar cost averaging, you'll probably make a profit on what seemed to be a loss. And for example, I'll show you, if you bought a stock for $12 and then the value of the stock drops to $3, did you have a $9 loss? Not if you buy some shares at $3. You're now buying it at a quarter of the cost that it cost at $12. So if you buy as many shares at $3 as you bought at $12, you now own all the shares at $7.50. And so you only have to wait till it goes back to $8 and you can sell it at a profit. But if you sell it if you bought it at 12 and it drops to 3 and you sell it, you lost $9. It's all in how you look at it. If the company's any kind of a good company and it didn't go bankrupt, it's going to come back up to wherever it was. It'll come up, it might take it a year, it might take it 2 years, but it's going to come back. When it comes back, then you sell it at a profit. You never had that loss. Did you have a loss? You might think so. Most people, they sell the thing, $3. They say, I took a $9 loss, and they walk away because they haven't got the patience to wait and see if it's the good thing that's in there that they can make a profit on something that they had a paper loss on. Life is like that. You have to do the mechanics of it. You have to change your perspective. So finally, I want you to think about this thought. And this one is one that most people have trouble with. And that is, if you die today, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So if you die today, you have the opportunity to move on to into the next life. You get to see your departed relatives who went on before you. You get to meet with them again. That sounds like a good thing. So would dying today be a good thing or a bad thing? Most of us, well, I don't want to die today. That's going to be a bad thing. Maybe not. You have to think about life totally different. It's all good. Everything has got a good in it. And the good's in there. You have to dig sometimes. You have to really look at it differently. Usually you'll find it in the opportunity. Like death is an opportunity to move on into the next life. The opportunity that the supposedly bad thing causes is where the good is to be found. And so just remember that. It's all good. The bad is entirely in your perspective, the way you're looking at it. That broken arm, cataracts, cancer, a divorce, a car wreck, all are good things if you look at them the right way. And that's what I wanted to share today. This is a philosophical thing, but it's what makes us happy in life. It's why we talk about gratitudes. That attitude of gratitude is what makes us happy. And our happiness, as we said in the 7th principle, our happiness is our own fault. If you look at that 7th principle, every time we read it on a Sunday, We are responsible for our own happiness or unhappiness. We create it. We create it through our viewpoint. We create it through our perspective, how we see whether a thing is good or a thing is bad. So that's what I wanted to share this morning is it good? It's all good. It's always all good. And it's up to you to decide how you're going to see that. And that's what I have this morning. So I'm finished, probably a little early, but I'm done. That's what I have to share. It's all good. And it's you who decides. And you decide by you making a choice. You choose to decide. So if you're unhappy, that's because you're seeing things as not being all good. Here's one of my little signs. I'm going to hold it up for you. It's all good. Is that backwards? Looks backwards to me.
No, it's forwards. It's forwards. there you go.
Okay. It's all good. And it's I have those sitting around the house. I've got one hanging in a tree outside that's punched in the side of a can. They're everywhere. But it's up to you to choose. And the choice is entirely yours. It's if it's a bad thing, it's because you choose to see it as a bad thing. You can say, well, what if I lost my legs? What if I got my legs cut off? A good thing or a bad thing? There was a guy in the Olympics that didn't have his legs from the knee down, and he ran in the regular Olympics. He got a gold medal in the Paralympics, but in the regular Olympics, I don't think he medaled at all. But he actually ran in the Olympics, and he had no legs from the knee down. And he was born that way, and his parents had his legs amputated when he was a child. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't think he would have run in the Olympics if he had a normal leg. And so it must have been a good thing. It's just how you look at something. And that's totally your choice. And that's the hardest thing to get, that you're choosing to see it as a bad thing. If you're you're put upon by all these bad things, it's because you see them as bad things. If you see them as good things, then they're good things. So that next car wreck, it's an opportunity to get a new car. You just have to change how you choose to see it. It's a good thing. Okay, so I'm done.